changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more, no more complaining. People, their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more, no more.
I'm going to jump right into and talk about continuing our series now on dropping stress and gaining focus. And I wanted to do this as one of the very last practices that we actually do. Because when you talk about meditation, this is what people tend to think of when they think of meditation. They think of what is called mantra meditation. Mantra meditation is where you repeat a sound or something over and over and over and over again. And I like this image of teaching a dog to sit and to stay. When Teddy was little and I first got him, and he looked like a little tan Tootsie Roll with legs. He was just round, and you know how little puppies are. And he was so wonderful in that he was like a little baby duck. Everywhere I went, he was right by me. I didn't have to teach him to heel or be with me or anything like that. However, one of the things that I know is that the most powerful thing you can teach your dog early on is to, number one, sit, and number two, to stay. Because if you can get your dog to sit and to stay, you can avoid a lot of the off-leash injuries, problems, even deaths by simply getting your dog to sit and to stay. Gail, my second wife, had a wonderful dog, and he was very well trained. She is great at training dogs. And that dog would be fully chasing something, a cat, let's say. And she would say, sit, and his butt hit the ground. He just sat and would stay. And it's a wonderful thing to teach a dog so that they don't run off. They don't run off with other people. They don't run off into other things. They don't run off and get hurt, etc. And that's what we want to do in meditation. The purpose of meditation, and notice I'm saying meditation now more than mindfulness, even though it occurred to me that meditation is mindfulness, and mindfulness is a form of meditation. So they can somewhat be used interchangeably. But the purpose of meditation is to get the mind to sit and to stay. That is something that we are never taught as human beings. From the moment that we are born, we are stimulated. We have mobiles hanging over our cribs. You know, our parents, and especially now, you'll go to amusement parks, and while you're waiting in line to get on a ride, everyone, including the toddler in the stroller, has a phone that they're scrolling through. We are distracted. We are kept engaged in other things. And therefore, the thing that our mind begins to absolutely feel very, very uncomfortable with is sitting and staying. In other words, being bored. I touched on this in yesterday's JumpStart. The purpose of mindfulness is to bore your mind, not bore into your mind, but to get your mind bored, to get your mind to where it just is like, all right, no more stuff. Nothing else is going to come through. I'm not going to get engaged in anything else. I'll let the thoughts go through. I won't engage with them. By getting yourself to sit and to stay with your mind, you then can point it in the direction, your mind that is, that you want it to go. I'm reading The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, which was written in 1910, and it talks about having a clear purpose and keeping your mental focus on it, believing that it has already happened. In other words, and living in a world of gratitude. And he talks about the number one thing that keeps people from achieving what they desire or getting what they want is their mind drifts. today I want this, by golly, and I'm going to put it on my vision board and I'm going to write it down 10 times and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then 3 days later, today I want this and I'm going to put this on my vision board. The key is to have one thing and to keep your focus on it. The challenge is that until you actually manifest whatever it is, you look around and you see that you don't have what it is that you want. What you notice is the lack of what it is that you want. But your focus is supposed to be on what it is you want and as if you already have it. So we tend to focus on what's present. And the challenge is to get our mind to focus on what we really, really want to bring about in our lives. One of the things that I found interesting in listening to Cassandra Peterson, who was Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and Muhammad Ali's autobiographies, is that they both knew very early on what they wanted to be. As a teenager, Cassandra Peterson wanted to be a Vegas showgirl, and she was at 17. Back then, your parents could sign something and you could be in a nude review in Las Vegas, and she did, not fully nude. But anyway, and Muhammad Ali, he first heard that a guy was the world heavyweight boxing champion when he was a boy. Didn't even fully know what the concept was, but he heard of the reverential way that people talked about this fighter. And he decided that's what he wanted to be. And he held his focus. Cassandra Peterson held her focus. Most people can't hold their focus for more than 30 seconds. And this is where mantra meditation comes in. Mantra meditation. It means repeating something over and over and over again in a language that is not a language that you normally speak. Here's why. If it's a language that you normally speak, then you're going to be able to, it's more of an affirmation. It's an affirmation more than it is a mantra. A mantra is something that should have no significance literally, but enormous significance spiritually, simply because of your putting time in doing it. I studied Transcendental meditation, and I have been doing it back again now for a couple of weeks, twice a day, 20 minutes a day. It's more important than walking Teddy or anything, doing that to me. And in fact, the reason I was late getting started this morning, I forgot to set a timer while I was doing my mantra meditation. And instead of doing 20 minutes, I did 30. So I really got into it, which is a very good thing. Mantra meditation is more difficult than what we talked about yesterday, sitting Zen, Zazen, or walking meditation, because when I was in ministerial school, we used to always say this: close your eyes to get rid of outside distractions. That sounds great, doesn't it? The challenge is there are way more inner distractions than there will ever be outer distractions. So it's easier to meditate looking out into the world. However, mantra meditation is typically done with the eyes closed. So it's more difficult, but I feel that it carries a quicker, more tangible benefit. How about that? It's like lifting heavier weights at the gym is a good way of looking at it. So with mantra meditation, you close your eyes and then you typically don't do anything for the first minute. You're not supposed to do anything. You're just supposed to observe your thoughts for a minute. Sit there and observe your thoughts for a minute. And as you observe your thoughts, you then begin to wait on your mantra, is how it's put. In other words, you know what your mantra is. It's not like you're discovering your mantra. But over time, because of your intention to be there to meditate, you'll begin to say this mantra over and over in your head. Sometimes it takes me 10 seconds. Sometimes it takes me 3 to 5 minutes before I really get into my mantra. And then the interesting thing is the mantra just becomes one of all the other thoughts that are going through your head. To me, and I'm sure you've seen the lottery drawings on television when they drop all the ping pong balls in there, right? It's like trying to focus on one single ping pong ball with all those ping pong balls bouncing around in your brain, but probably multiplied 10 times. Take a sip of coffee. So, with your eyes closed, eventually you begin to say your mantra. Now, you can say it slowly. I'm not supposed to use my mantra. You never say your own mantra. You never share it. You never, through transcendental meditation. And I actually kind of got in trouble because they gave me my mantra, and I was like, wow, where did you get this? Like the big book of mantras or something. And they kind of said yes, but at the same time, it was like, that was an insolent question for me to ask. So you're closing your eyes, and here's a great mantra: aham prema. And I'm going to type that in the comments section in a minute. Aham prema. It means I am divine love. Aham prema. So you can say aham prema, aham prema, aham prema, aham prema, or you can go aham prema. It can be just that slow, and it can vary. Now, just as with all mindfulness practices, your mind is going to wander. That is the point. Let your mind will wander. You don't get upset with yourself. You don't judge yourself. You don't say, man, I'm doing this badly. You simply say, welcome back, and you begin to say your mantra again and again and again and again. I told you the reason I was late this morning was I was actually doing my transcendental meditation, mantra meditation. And as I was sitting there, I noticed that my mind is actually solely on my mantra. In other words, sitting and staying maybe 3 to 5% of the entire 20 minutes I'm there. Maybe, sometimes less. And that's why I think most people don't meditate. They think they're doing it wrong. Nope, you're doing it right. It's just that challenging to get your mind to sit and to stay. A couple of weeks, Christmas Day, my neighbors and friends, Dave and Ann, took us, me and Ted Bear, out to Dog Beach, which is out on a key here. And Teddy had a blast running up and down the beach. He was full of energy, just digging in the sand and actually going out and swimming into the water and everything. There's no waves out there. And he was having such a blast. And then Ann went over and broke off a piece of dead tree limb and tossed it for Teddy. And then from then on, all he wanted to do was play with that little stick, about as long as a hot dog. And he just threw it, and he ran after it, and he threw it, and he chewed on it, and he dropped it in the water, and he got it out of the water. A mantra is like a stick for a dog. It gives your brain something to chew on. You want to give it something with intention so that it does not go here, there, and everywhere. Paul McCartney does transcendental meditation. I heard an interview with him the other day where he said, yes, I've been doing this since the Maharishi taught me and the other guys, the Beatles, in the early 1960s how to do this. And he said, you'd think I'd be better at it. It's one of those weird things. If you're looking for something to do this 3 or 4 times, and then all of a sudden you slip into this deep meditative state immediately, you don't. It's always a struggle. It's like exercise. The thing is, meditation has an enormous halo effect. Here's what I mean. There was a famous violinist who would play at Carnegie Hall, and he said, if I don't practice one day, I notice in my performance. If I don't practice 2 days, the critics notice in my performance. If I don't practice for 3 days, The audience knows in my performance, right? Here's me. If I don't meditate one day, I notice in my irritability and my inability to control and keep my thoughts grateful and positive. If I don't meditate 2 days in a row, my daughter can sense my anxiety and mental anguish. And if I don't meditate 3 days in a row, watch out, world. Okay. So it is not something that you get to where there's no there when you meditate. It's a struggle. And the other thing is it typically takes 10 minutes for your mantra. It's one of the ping pong balls in the lottery thing, but for it begins to rise to the top only after about 10 minutes. And then you got to keep it there. So I want to recommend that you give mantra meditation a try. I'm going to type in this mantra right here. It is Aham Prema, pronounced Prema, and you simply chant it over and over and over again. I notice here David said something about Om. Yes, absolutely. Om. As you know, my ex-wife's a yoga teacher, and so I know a lot about the sound of Om and etc. You can certainly meditate just simply going Om over and over and over again in your head. Makes a great meditation. Om is the sound of creation. It is actually the combination of two sounds, Ah and which are Sanskrit terms, which means it is created or something like that. Then, of course, the other one you can do is simply which is what we do when we sigh. When you feel good. And is in most cultures the sound of God. You'll find the name for God or the prophet for God to have in it. Yahweh. Most of the Old Testament names in the Bible. Elijah was a prophet. So I want you to give it a try today. Take mantra meditation as a challenge and give it a try today, all right?
No more complaining people. Their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more complaining people. Their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No